99% of our genes actually come from the microbiome. We started doing 100% carnivore. I'm just a scientific researcher. That's what I do. The microbiome is actually what builds our immune system. It's what digests our food. It's what regulates all of the interactions of our body, because we teach them that there's healthy bacteria, and these healthy bacteria only survive on protein and fat, right? Isn't that incredible that the healthy bacteria that are helping us, they create serotonin, they create dopamine, that heal us, that digest our food and give us the healthy, good metabolites that make us healthy, strong, and thrive to our 120 years old. Those bacteria can only live, they live on fats and proteins. Harmful, pathogenic bacteria, and then opportunistic bacteria that can take advantage and cause havoc. They only thrive on starches and sugars.
But from what you're telling me now, no, that could be a lot more detrimental than I ever would have imagined. 2 years?
2 years.
The following video is about gut biome and bacteria, and some of the information in here has completely blown my mind. It was so fascinating, so I broke this video up into 2 parts. The second part coming out soon is Malia's personal carnivore story. It's very emotional, it's very inspiring, and that is coming soon. Let's jump into today's video.
I work with the program now. It's amazing. It's a group of individuals, all practitioners. The owner, he founded it, and it's all about healing these chronic illnesses and diseases that we're told you'll have the rest of your life, you'll be on medication for the rest of your life, or you'll be debilitatingly disabled for the rest of your life. And it's not true. And they've all overcome lupus, liver diseases, dysautonomia we specialize in, which long COVID, dysautonomia is up like 800% now since COVID. It's just the dysregulation of the autonomic nervous system. And that's the blood pressure, the heart rate, all of those things. And so I found this program, and we started doing 100% carnivore, but all soft meats and broths, and getting into ketosis. And this isn't ketosis that we would Google or that you would see anywhere else. This is a very specific ketosis for the nervous system. When we have severe nervous system illnesses that IHF deals with, we can't have any plant toxins. We can't have even any of the vegetables that some people say, oh, in ketosis, I can have so many of this. We don't. We're very specific about cutting out all of those things. So from lectins to oxalates to all the different glycogen, everything that can cause stimulation and damage to the gut and to the nervous system. And so implementing that was, I remember I used to have debilitating anxiety and depression towards the end of the year of being completely bedridden. Nights were the worst because you don't sleep, and you don't realize how, I think people would go insane not being able to sleep. And then the anxiety with all the other things going on in the body. And I used to think people would say, oh, anxiety, I'm uncomfortable. No, I wanted to peel my skin off and jump out of a window. It wasn't this, I'm a little uncomfortable. No, it was, if there's not someone watching me, I think I would take my life. And I used to beg God to give me the strength to get through each night, because I was still I had all these practitioners that wanted me on medication. And I was like, no, I know God can do this naturally. I want to prove that God can do this naturally. And I want to trust him. And I'm going to keep believing that he's going to heal me. And I was able to get through all of it without a single medication. But at 3 weeks, my husband had to sleep in another room because it was so hard. I was so volatile. But he would come in when he would hear me crying and having these really difficult nights, and he would just hold me. And at 3 weeks into the program of eating this way, with soft meats and broths and just calm and lots of other lifestyle changes. But he came, I woke up that morning, I was actually sleeping a few hours a night, and he came and he said, I haven't come in your room in a couple days. And I realized that the anxiety was gone. Like this debilitating, I had journals that I just wrote messages, just prayers over and over again that would get me through the night. I'd have 10 or 11 in one night. And I looked back and I realized I didn't have any for the last couple of nights because I'd been sleeping. So it was such a miracle what this does for the body. And it sounds so simple. And I think that's where people get lost, is they're like, what? That's not possible. And that's the reality, is you shouldn't have to be a biochemist. You shouldn't have to have all of these degrees to eat the way that God intended us to eat. It comes naturally. And when we do that, we heal.
It hits close to home when you talk about crippling anxiety and depression. I think a lot of people, unless you've been there, it's hard. People are like, yeah, I've been anxious before, I've been depressed before, but it sounds like you were at some very dark, deep levels that are hard for other people to understand. It's so amazing that within a couple of weeks you're able to start feeling just even any little bit of relief from that. It's really interesting too that you mentioned around 3 weeks. This is unofficial science, of course, but I've interviewed so many people doing a carnivore diet, proper human diet. And a lot of people do it for one reason, like yours might have been lupus, or someone's doing it for type 2 diabetes or another reason, but almost every one of them also had depression and anxiety and brain fog to some degree. And so many of them tell me that same thing. Like, right, not that it's cured or completely reversed or gone, but around 3 weeks or so, they have this, whoa, something's happening differently here that never happened before. I always show people this, but on a decade of taking all of this medication for anxiety and depression, for me too, it was that like right around 3 weeks. What is that like for you? What are you thinking at 3 weeks in when you're starting to notice this?
Absolutely. And so the Integrated Health Foundation specializes in microbiome. And there's a reason why it's at 3 weeks. So there's certain bacteria that live in the body. And real quickly, most of us don't realize that we don't digest our own food. The bacteria do. And so the nutrients that we get from our food actually comes from the bacteria's metabolites, or what their byproduct of eating our food. Since the early 1900s, the world has tried to create the sterile human. They believed if human beings could be sterile, then there would be no illness, there would be no sickness, people would be superhuman. It's these horrible germs, these horrible bacteria that are hurting us. And they actually did create the first human, the little baby that was born that was completely incapable of having any microbes due to a genetic malformation. And what occurred is, this is the story of the little boy in the bubble. And he actually died at 12, and he could not handle anything in his environment, couldn't touch his parents, couldn't anything. The microbiome is actually what builds our immune system. It's what digests our food. It's what regulates all of the interactions of our body. 99% of our genes actually come from the microbiome. They're epigenetics, what they say and do, THFR, which is something that I had. That's all epigenetic. That's all affected by our microbiome. And what we learned, me coming through this program, and then others now, my clients that come through, is we teach them that there's healthy bacteria, and these healthy bacteria only survive on protein and fat, right? Isn't that incredible that the healthy bacteria that are helping us, they create serotonin, they create dopamine, that heal us, that digest our food and give us the healthy, good metabolites that make us healthy, strong, and thrive to our 120 years old. Those bacteria can only they live on fats and proteins. Harmful pathogenic bacteria, and then opportunistic bacteria that can take advantage and cause havoc. They only thrive on starches and sugars. So basically carbs. So yes, it's incredible. And this information's been out for decades, but people don't hear about it because if you're not a microbiologist, you're not reading the studies, you don't see it. You have to pay to be part of those journals. And then if you're a practitioner, a doctor working, they don't usually read a lot of the studies, right? So you've got this amazing information that's not available to the public. And then you have this amazing information that doctors are too busy to read, right? So there's this breaking point where we're missing out on all these incredible things. And we have a very set timeline of when these different bacteria will die off. And so certain bacteria are starved between 3 and 4 weeks. They cannot go, if you go without starch and sugars, they'll completely die. And you'll have a lot of reactions usually at 3 and 4 weeks too. So you might have uptick in symptoms. You might have a spurt of a little bit more anxiety, or a spurt of a little bit more insomnia or tachycardia, but just for a day or two, and then it'll go away. And those bacteria are gone. Like they're gone. It's amazing. And then again, at 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, all the way up to the 24-month point, which is the point where we kill off the dysautonomia POTS, a lot of those bacteria that are really wreaking havoc on the nervous system for people who have been ill for 7-10 years longer. For me, I had the education being in the program, because that's what they do. They want to educate and empower their clients to not be clients anymore. And so I had the education that I knew at 3 weeks. I'm going, oh my goodness, like all the suffering was pretty much gone by 3 weeks. And I knew what to look forward to. I knew at 4 months, 3-4 months, I was going to have another bout of some more stuff die. And I knew exactly what kind. I knew the names. I knew why. And so it was really neat to have the science and to have the personal experience married together. It just boosted my faith. It made us so excited to know that we were going to heal.
This is incredible. I have so many questions because I'm on day like 500 or so, proper human diet. And for me, I'm like, I've learned so much. Dr. Hampton taught me that a lot of the serotonin is created in the gut. I never knew that before. And so I was thinking part of the reason I was doing well on carnivore is my body's in ketosis. I'm burning fat for fuel instead of sugar. I knew a little bit about the gut biome, but not very much. And then I heard from Dr. Hampton about serotonin being created in the gut. So I was thinking maybe all those vegetables I was eating that probably had pesticides and glyphosate, maybe that was messing with my gut biome, maybe blocking some of the serotonin, things like that. But I never really completely understood it. I feel like it all makes perfect sense. What would be for me, like I'm right around day 500 now. Is there still things with my gut biome that are changing? I've been 100% strict carnivore now for over 500 days.
Absolutely. So there are certain types of H. pylori and some other opportunistic. So when I say opportunistic, everything works symbiotically. So if you're a healthy person, you can have harmful and even opportunistic bacteria living inside your gut and on your skin and in your mouth, and you're not going to have issues because.
Quick interruption. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in learning more about our documentary, Healing Humanity, The Power of a Proper Human Diet, or supporting it, please visit donate.healinghumanity.movie. Our goal is to reach millions of people that are hopeless right now and sharing the examples of real people over the course of 1 year that are undertaking a proper human diet to overcome obesity, type 2 diabetes, depression, anxiety, fertility issues. We couldn't do it without you. We thank you so much. We are also selling these shirts, Healing Humanity, The Power of a Proper Human Diet. Every penny we get from those goes towards the documentary. And last, we have memberships. If you click the little join button, it's best to do it on desktop. Under any one of my YouTube videos, you can join and become a member. We have hundreds of members right now. We do members only videos. We do members only behind the scenes. You can email me as a member and I'll answer you. And every penny from that goes to support the documentary. And the last thing is we have these Redmond's portable salt shakers. These things are awesome. You can get the best salt. You can take it with you. We sell these on the website along with our water bottles and cutting boards, and every penny from all of those goes 100% towards supporting the documentary. You can also sign up for our newsletter, which is completely free. All of these links are in the description below. Thank you so much for your support. Now back to today's video.
Because the healthy bacteria are keeping them in check. So that symbiosis is so important. But when you become ill, chronically ill, you're eating really sugary processed food, you're in a stressful environment, you've been through trauma. That's another thing we specialize in is limbic work, limbic rewiring, and how that affects things. This all can kill your healthy bacteria. So cortisol actually kills healthy bacteria. So even a negative thought, you're driving to work and you're stressed, that hormone goes throughout. It kills the healthy bacteria to a certain degree, and it bolsters opportunistic and harmful bacteria. Just having cortisol in your blood. And so just those thoughts, we train our clients on how to stop those thoughts, how to stop all those processes from occurring in your body. And as people go through this training, they learn, okay, my thoughts are all affected. There's studies that are really neat. They show that in rats, what they did is they put stressful situations on mother rats and their babies. And then they went in and they saw that they were starting to show insomnia and intolerance to stress. They were antisocial. They were having all of these reactions that you see in humans. And so then they did a fecal transplant. And they took the bacteria from the intestines in the sick baby mice and put it in healthy baby mice. And immediately those baby mice had the same reactions, the antisocial behavior, the stress, the insomnia, all of those things as these other mice, even though they never went through the trauma. And vice versa. So then they took healthy mice and they implanted that healthy bacteria into these sick mice, and they were able to reverse it. It was incredible. Now they saw that if they cut the vagus nerve, so if they did any kind of intervention there where they stopped the metabolites to an extent, the majority of the mental reactions that people were experiencing stopped. So in mice, and they've also done it in humans where they've done vagotomies where they've gone in and cut that. People, all of a sudden, I don't have any depression anymore because the gut is so central to what's going on in our minds and in our bodies. And killing off the bacteria, you've got harmful, pathogenic, and then opportunistic. Getting that back to symbiosis. And so that's what's happening with people that come to our program. And so for you, there's some bacteria still that can be alive, but the important thing to note is even eating 1 teaspoon of starch. So whether you're eating some grains or whether you're eating some sugar or whatever can keep that bacteria alive for another 2 years. And so we really specialize. And this is not a, hey, I'm going to have a cheat day. We're going to heal. The people that come to us are severely ill and they've been ill for a long time. And so they're dedicated to make this change and to get better.
What you just said is so incredible to me because I've been 100% strict on carnivore, but I know a lot of people that do cheat days. And I came from such a place of darkness and depression. And similar to you, Malia, I was begging God, just give me any sort of relief. And then I found this. So there's no way I'm going to mess with any of those things. I wasn't judging other people. People get mad at me. They're like, oh, Mr. Perfect never cheated. But in my mind, too, though, it was like, I don't want to cheat because it'll knock me out of ketosis and it could take a couple days to get back into keto. And that could be like 4 days I'm going off. But from what you're telling me now, no, that could be a lot more detrimental than I ever would have imagined. That's insane. 2 years?
Absolutely. It's a really big deal. It's something that people don't quite comprehend. And so they'll get so much. I've seen people do carnivore, do certain things. I'm like, oh, I got so much better. And then they start eating normally and their symptoms come back. Now they're not usually as bad as they were originally, but they will be pretty uncomfortable again, whether that's things like the hypoglycemia or the sensitivities or the chronic fatigue or joint pain, things like that. And you have to say you might have wounded the dragon, we like to call it. But as soon as you start feeding them again, they're already strong. They're pretty strong. And so they take their land back, you like to say, the land inside of the gut, and they repopulate. And so we have to kill them off completely. And that process of killing them off takes a certain amount of time. And then we implement the proper diet and the proper lifestyle changes to ensure that if our clients do want to go back to eating a certain way, we still encourage them. We're like, hey, these are toxins. Let's stay away from toxins. But some people want to do certain things and it's okay, but at least your body would be strong enough once it's killed off this pathogenic bacteria to keep it in check. But for me personally, after studying through the scriptures, after all of my experience, all of my studies, I'm talking hundreds upon hundreds of studies. I'm just a scientific researcher. That's what I do. And there is no way, there's no way, knowing what I know, knowing from history, there's a reason why things are only available in the season. A lot of people don't realize if you eat fructose during the summer, the reaction with the sunlight in your skin creates nitric oxide in such a way that you can push a lot of the fructose out and it doesn't affect your liver. However, if you eat fructose at any other time of the year, that reaction doesn't happen and it causes damage to your liver. And that's why we're seeing fatty liver disease in young kids. We're seeing all these issues in children so much younger than it should be because these things were not available all year. You could not freeze this stuff and ship it from wherever and have it whenever you want it. It's not natural. So for a lot of the people that are in the program, they see really incredible results within, just like you said, 4 weeks, but 3 months, and 3 months, 6 months, we have people going back to work that haven't worked for a decade. It's incredible.
Do you attribute some of the healing and success people are seeing to things beyond just the gut biome?
Absolutely. I actually say that our program is 51% limbic restoration and then 49% diet and lifestyle, so occupational therapy changes. When we understand what's going on with our brain, when we understand what the limbic regions are, for people who might not know what that is, it's so if this is your brain, inside here, the very center is your limbic region. So all animals have a limbic region. It's the amygdala, the hypothalamus, the hippocampus. It's all those areas. You've probably heard of those words before. And then on the outside, us mammals, especially humans, we have a cortex. So this is our thinking part. So inside is all emotion. That's where we're processing fear, love, all of those things. And the outside is how we think and how we experience the world, what we make of it. And when we're in chronic illness, anyone who is overweight, it's just the way it is. If you're overweight, you are in chronic inflammation. That's what happens. And all of these hosts of other metabolic diseases come, you get hypertension, diabetes, you get the whole slew of heart disease, everything. And that reaction in the body causes stimulation in the brain. So the brain, we teach our clients that the brain has neural pathways that it creates. And you have 4 main happy chemicals that you work with. And the way to remember that is DOSE, dose. You need to get your 4 happy chemical dose every day. So dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphin. Okay. And people are really familiar with that. Now there's other things that aren't happy chemicals. Those are hormones, testosterone and stuff. We're not going to talk about those. And then you have cortisol. And as a creature, as a mammal, all of us, our body just wants to heal and be safe. That's it. That's the bottom line. If you're safe, then you're in a state of being happy and procreating and keeping your seed to continue throughout the generations. If you're injured, then you're protecting, you're trying to keep yourself from getting further injured. That's the bottom line of everything we do. You get in a fight with your spouse, you're hurt. Now you're trying to protect, you push people away. You're really happy. You run out and you spend a bunch of money on everybody and buy everybody's dinner. That's just the way it works. And so when we are working with people who are chronically ill, they've created neural pathways. So it's like a bunch of highways in the brain to come to certain conclusions. So you have an emotion that's occurred, you've chronic inflammation, and so you've got tachycardia, you've got these things occurring in the body. And what they've seen in studies is that if they were to go in and immediately take away an illness, say from a rat, so if they were to go in and a rat that's been sick for a certain amount of time, because it takes a certain amount of time to create neural pathways. So once it's hit that certain amount of time where those neural pathways are set, if they go in and they were to cure that rat, the rat will still have the issues. There's a bear called Anya, and basically she was kept in a very small cage for a long period of time. It was an abusive situation. And when they did rescue her and they put her in the wild, you can Google it, you can see video of Anya. She still walks in this, she's an enormous bear, and she walks in a 6-foot space, and she's worn the grass, and she's in an open wildlife reserve because in her mind, she's still locked in a cage. And so once those neural pathways are set with chronic illness or anxiety or depressions in the level that the people that come to us are, you have to rewire that. And there's a certain protocol to do that. And it's really amazing because for me, I felt like it really connected to the way we're taught to prayer and have hope and faith and let go of fear. So it's amazing the way our brains even work, are how we were created to work to heal in general. It's just the way that God created us. And so it's very important to have the limbic understanding and how to restore the limbic system to a space of calm and peace. And then we're able to heal all of these chronic debilitating diseases working with the diet. Something else that's really interesting is they've done these studies with flies where they fed certain flies only certain foods, so no starch or no sugar. And what they found is the flies would not copulate with certain flies. The female flies would not copulate with the male flies that weren't eating the same thing they were eating. Isn't that interesting? And so then they thought, okay, let's do 2 different studies and let's put flies that are only eating starch over here and flies that are only eating this over here. And then let's see what happens. And they perfectly would only connect with the other flies that were eating exactly what they're eating. And they showed that their microbiome, not only epigenetics, it will change your taste buds. It'll make you want more sweets. They'll cause you to grow more taste buds in your mouth. Not only things like that, but they will, on top of that, cause you to have pheromone interactions with other people that will make you more interested in another person based off of what they're eating. And so what my husband and I experienced, which is so crazy, is we were eating 100% carnivore ketosis. And we just felt like our relationship on an intimate level, just our connection mentally, physically, completely changed. And not that it wasn't unhealthy before, but it was totally different. And when we saw these studies, it was okay, the microbes inside you do not want to compete, specifically opportunistic and harmful bacteria. And so they will actually push you away from people that have more, they can sense what's going on based off of pheromones and the bacteria interaction. And they will send out reactions that make you feel, I don't like that person. I'm just uncomfortable. No, they annoy me. They frustrate me. Just because they don't want you interacting with them, even holding hands, shaking, hugging, if they're going to have a competitive microbe population come in and take over. So it's unbelievable the level that these microbes actually control your thought process, your interactions with other human beings, the things that you eat, the way that you feel. They control your dreams. All of our clients will come through and we work with them so intensely. And we say right at week 4 or 5, you're going to start having dreams. Because right before the microbes die off, they will send out all the last of their toxins to interact through your vagus nerve and send off reactions in your brain, trying to get you to go eat carbs, sugar, donuts, whatever they can to survive. And they want to survive. And so it's unbelievable what they'll do. And as soon as you get past those 2 or 3 days, they're gone, completely gone. And now you don't have any more. So it's amazing what they're capable of doing. Yeah.
I'm thinking of my wife's been carnivore now for 150 days, and it's been the same thing. There's something deeper going on there that you can't quite put your finger on. That too, and I've said this from the beginning, but the more carnivores I meet, I'm like, I always like these people. They have that carnivore zen, the carnivore energy or whatever, but it always seemed like there's something deeper going on there. I think I'm starting to understand it a little bit more now.
So getting our children back to that state of eating the way that they're supposed to eat, all the behavioral issues go away, all the wetting the bed, all of the problem solving, thinking, the clarity comes back. And to see that happen to your child, gosh, what could be worth more than that? It's amazing.
Yeah. And you have 7 children. What a blessing. That's amazing. Do you have any twins or triplets in there?
No, I always wanted some. I'm jealous you do. I wanted to knock out a pregnancy or two, but I didn't.
Everyone always says people that do carnivore, they look like 20 years younger. You don't look like you're the mother of 7 children. You said you have a couple grown children too, right?
Yes, my oldest is in college. He is 19. And yeah, I'm 40.
Wow.
Yeah.
Malia, this has been incredible. Honestly, I've learned so much on this interview, so much more than I have before. I really appreciate it. How can people, if they want to learn more about you or IHF, where can they find you?
We're at integratedhealthfoundation.org, and we are putting a lot of our energy right now into the clinical studies that we're doing, but we do have wait lists if people want to just reach out, ask questions. We do have social media sites and things like that, but we're happy to do phone calls with people. We have different ranges of needs when our clients reach out to us. So whether you're really sick and bedridden like I was and had no real hope, or whether you're just like, hey, I think I might need some tweaks, you can always reach out, give us your information, and we schedule calls.
That's great. I will have a link in the description below. Thank you so much, Molly. I really appreciate it. This has been wonderful.
It's been so great to be here, Carrie. I really support everything that you're doing, and healing from humanity needs to happen for everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.